You know, when you walk into a physical store, say you're just running in to grab a bottle of shampoo or a box of cereal,
Hmm.
you pick the item off the shelf. You feel the cardboard or the heavy plastic in your hand.
Right. You're interacting with the real world.
Exactly. And you put it in your cart. At no point in that entire process do you stop and ask yourself, wait, is this store actually a front? Am I holding a completely fabricated object?
Yeah, the physics of the space just provide a built-in guarantee.
But the absolute second you open your laptop or pull out your phone to buy that exact same item online, all of those physical guarantees just vanish. You are immediately operating on faith.
And, according to the stack of new research we're looking at today, 87% of you listening right now are willing to pay a premium for that faith.
Which is wild to think about. You will literally hand over extra money just for the peace of mind that a brand is real. Trust is basically the invisible currency of the internet now.
It is, yeah. And today's mission is unpacking exactly how AI is actively weaponizing that trust. It's a fragile ecosystem.
It really is.
And that 87% statistic reveals just how desperate consumers are for certainty right now. I mean, people are willing to pay a literal trust tax because consumer confidence is hovering near an all-time low.
Because we've entirely moved past the era of casual skepticism, right? Where you might just squint at a poorly designed web page.
Exactly. The source material drops a much darker statistic right next to that premium. 88% of American shoppers now find it harder to tell what is real online compared to just a single year ago.
Okay, let's unpack this, because 88% means almost everyone listening to us has felt that exact same hesitation. Hovering your mouse over the buy button and wondering if you're about to get scammed.
Oh, absolutely. We've all been there.
So our narrative goal for today's deep dive is clear. We are going to explore exactly how AI has shattered the e-commerce trust economy.
And more importantly, how authentic brands and savvy shoppers like you can actually survive this wild, unprecedented new frontier.
So to start, now that we know trust is collapsing, we really need to examine why it's happening at this exact moment.
Well, to understand that, we have to look at the mechanics of deception. In the past, creating a convincing fake took, significant resources.
Right, you needed graphic designers to mock up logos, copywriters to match the tone.
Yeah, and developers to build a functioning checkout page.
Yeah.
It was expensive and time-consuming to scam people convincingly. But generative AI has fundamentally altered that equation.
Because it's lowered the cost of creating a perfect lie to near zero.
Exactly, near zero.
If AI lowers the cost of a perfect lie to zero, it's like giving a counterfeiter a magic printing press that runs for free. They don't buy ink, they don't source paper, they just press a button.
And out pops a flawless forgery. And when those flawless forgeries flood the market, it creates a genuinely concerning scenario that researchers are calling the dead web.
The dead web? That sounds incredibly dystopian. What does that actually look like?
Think about how you typically discover new things online. You browse, you click an ad, you explore a new boutique website. The dead web scenario suggests that the signal-to-noise ratio gets overwhelmingly bad.
Like the amount of real products versus the avalanche of AI-generated garbage.
Yeah, exactly. The cognitive load of verifying every single purchase just becomes too high, so consumers stop trying.
Oh, wow. So they just give up on discovering new brands entirely and retreat into giant, safe-walled gardens like Amazon.
That, or they revert back to physical retail stores where they can actually touch the box.
But wait, a $500 billion black market doesn't just happen with clumsy typos. If everyone retreats to Amazon, isn't that just a temporary fix?
It is a Band-Aid, yeah.
So what does this mean in actual dollars? Bad actors must be siphoning massive amounts of money before shoppers decide to retreat.
They are. And it's leading to what economists call the skimming effect. The bad actors are successfully skimming billions off the top of the legitimate economy.
Billions? Wow.
According to the research, the global counterfeit trade is estimated to reach an unbelievable $467 billion by 2025.
$467 billion. That is a staggering number.
And the collateral damage to real brands is severe. Because of this pervasive doubt, 61% of shoppers will abandon a purchase simply because a website felt sketchy.
Or they just couldn't verify it was real. Over half of all shoppers are just walking away from their carts because the vibes are off. That is a massive loss of revenue.
It's devastating for real businesses.
So $467 billion on the line. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the source material lists the specific mechanics these bad actors are using to intercept that money.
Yeah, and it is highly sophisticated. We aren't talking about a website with a slightly misspelled domain name.
Bad actors are utilizing cloned storefronts. The research specifically mentions popular DTC brands, like Magic Spoon, the high-protein cereal, or Olipop.
Right, the AI just scrapes their high-res images, their custom fonts, their exact layout, and it creates a flawless mirror site in minutes.
But how are they actually getting people to look at these fake sites? It's not like you just randomly stumble onto them.
They intercept the traffic by leveraging AI in social media and search. Once the cloned storefront is up, the bad actors deploy deepfake technology.
To create completely synthetic advertising campaigns, right?
Exactly. We're seeing them use AI-generated video and audio that perfectly mimics the faces and voices of popular wellness influencers.
So they generate a video of a trusted figure endorsing an entirely fabricated, limited time, 90% off sale.
And the platform algorithms just see high engagement on a video featuring a recognizable face, so they push it to more feeds.
The followers trust the influencer, click the link, and are driven straight into the cloned scam site. The influencer has absolutely no idea they're even starring in this ad.
None. It's identity theft scaled up to an industrial level, designed specifically to hijack the algorithm.
And the source mentioned that it isn't always malicious, which blew my mind. Sometimes a shopper gets funneled into these fake ecosystems completely by accident.
Yeah, we are seeing cases where AI search engines simply hallucinate results.
Like, an AI assistant embedded in a browser might confidently but incorrectly summarize a product's features.
Or dynamically generate a hyperlink that points a shopper in the completely wrong direction. The AI inadvertently guides them into a fraudulent ecosystem.
Without any human malicious intent at all, the infrastructure itself is just becoming unreliable.
It really is.
I want to talk directly to you for a second, the person listening right now. You probably rely on Amazon reviews right now. We all do.
Oh, the review statistics are terrifying.
They are. The research points out that 30% of online reviews are now being flagged as AI generated. Almost a third.
Which means the coveted 5-star rating, the fundamental metric we all use to make our final purchasing decision, is becoming mathematically meaningless.
It completely shatters the concept of social proof.
Exactly. If you can't trust your own eyes because of deepfake videos, and you can't trust the crowd because of AI-generated reviews, you are left entirely in the dark.
But as the research highlights, brands are not powerless here. They have to actively participate in protecting their consumers.
Right? A perfect real-world case study from the sources is Cassie Ho, the founder of the fitness apparel brand PopFlex.
I remember when PopFlex dealt with this. Bad actors took her image and deepfaked it to sell counterfeit versions of her products.
And normally, a brand just fires off a cease and desist letter to the hosting provider and prays the fake site gets taken down.
But you can't really do that when the fake is an AI influencer living on a decentralized network or, bouncing between shadow servers. Did she actually find a workaround?
She did. She realized the legal route was simply too slow for the speed of AI. So rather than relying on lawyers, she launched a massive, proactive educational campaign.
Oh, I see. She put the fake videos side by side with her real content.
And she taught her audience exactly how to spot the algorithmic anomalies. She pointed out the unnatural eye movements, the microscopic stutters in the audio syncing.
Even the weird physics of the clothing in the deepfake. She proved that when the legal defense is too slow, a brand's primary defense has to be educational.
Exactly. She turned a massive vulnerability into a masterclass for her community.
That's amazing. But let's look ahead for a second. Education from founders like Cassie Ho is incredibly important today.
But as AI gets smarter?
Right. Those eye movements are going to get perfectly smooth. The audio syncing will be flawless. Human eyes just aren't going to be enough to spot the fakes.
We are absolutely going to fail the visual Turing test.
So how do brands structurally protect their buyers when the content itself is indistinguishable from reality?
This is where we have to look at the underlying infrastructure. The answer to malicious tech is defensive tech. Brands have to fight fire with fire.
Meaning what, exactly?
The source material outlines the rapid adoption of blockchain-enabled digital passports.
Okay, so what does this all mean? When I hear blockchain, I immediately think of cryptocurrency trading, not buying a hoodie or a box of cereal.
It sounds super technical, but think of it like putting a digital unbreakable wax seal on a physical product.
An unbreakable wax seal. Okay.
Yeah, and it relies on the concept of an immutable ledger. When a transaction or a data point is recorded on a blockchain, it is locked in chronologically.
So it cannot be retroactively altered or forged by a bad actor.
Exactly. While luxury giants like De Beers have used this for years to track the provenance of diamonds and prove they aren't conflict minerals, the technology has changed.
It's become cheap and accessible enough that it is no longer restricted to luxury.
Right. Giant retailers like Walmart are using it to track produce logistics. And crucially, everyday DTC snacking brands are now using it.
To prove what they call farm-to-bag integrity.
Yes. But it only works because the digital passport is integrated with tamper-evident packaging.
But wait, if the defense is just a QR code printed on the packaging, what stops a counterfeiter with a $500,000 operation from just walking into a grocery store?
And copying it.
Yeah, buying one real box of Olipop, photocopying that exact QR code, and slapping it onto 100,000 fake boxes.
That raises an important question. And it's where the cryptography actually comes into play. It's not a static URL that just takes you to a website.
Oh.
It's a dynamic one-time scan cryptographic link. When a customer receives the product and breaks the seal, they scan that code with their phone.
And the system cross-references that specific unique code with the blockchain ledger.
Exactly. If that code has already been scanned, or if it doesn't match the cryptographic signature generated at the factory floor, the system instantly flags it as counterfeit.
Oh, wow. So you can track the entire life cycle of that specific physical product from the manufacturing facility to the shipping container to your doorstep in seconds.
Verifying absolutely that it came from the brand's actual factory.
That completely neutralizes the photocopied QR code issue, so the physical product problem is solvable with these digital passports. Once I have the box in my hand, I can scan it and mathematically know it's real.
You can, but that brings up a massive operational gap.
A huge one. Because how do brands prove they are real in their digital marketing before you even make the purchase?
Right. How do they convince you to trust them enough to put your credit card into the checkout page in the first place?
What's fascinating here is that this dilemma is driving a massive, sweeping psychological and aesthetic shift across the entire e-commerce landscape.
It really is. For the last decade, high production value was the ultimate signal of a legitimate brand.
Right. If you had glossy, perfectly lit studio photography and high-definition video, it meant you had a real marketing budget.
Which subconsciously signaled to the consumer that you were a real trustworthy company.
But AI is incredibly good at generating that exact specific kind of glossy perfection. I mean, you can type a prompt and get a photorealistic 8K image of a sneaker hovering over a splashing pool of water in 5 seconds.
Precisely. Because AI generates perfect imagery so effortlessly, perfection is no longer a badge of quality.
It almost triggers a sort of e-commerce uncanny valley.
It does. Perfection has become a signal for suspicion. Our brains are beginning to subconsciously associate flawless lighting and perfect symmetry with synthetic generation.
Which means brands actually need to lean into the exact opposite.
Yes, the source material notes a hard pivot toward human-first content.
The new standard is raw lo-fi video. It's, shaky cell phone footage from willing customers doing unboxings.
Or the founder talking into their webcam in a messy office, or employees showing the chaotic behind the scenes of packing boxes.
Imperfection is now the ultimate hallmark of humanity. We are actively looking for background messiness, or poor lighting, or microstutters in speech as proof of life.
If it looks a little messy, it feels real.
It is a profound psychological pivot. We are now hardwired to seek out the flaws because the flaws prove a human hand was involved.
The rough edges are the only things AI struggles to replicate organically.
Let me play devil's advocate here, though. Generative AI is advancing at a terrifying speed. Eventually, maybe in a year, maybe in 6 months, AI will figure out how to fake imperfection, too.
Oh, it absolutely will.
You'll be able to prompt an AI to make a video that looks exactly like a shaky cell phone camera with bad lighting and a messy bedroom in the background.
Yes.
So when lo-fi aesthetics are no longer a safe haven, what is the ultimate fail-safe for the listener who is just trying to find a real brand?
When aesthetics completely fail us as a metric for truth, we have to rely on institutional cosigns.
Institutional cosigns? Meaning what?
Brands will need third-party authenticity badges woven directly into the back-end infrastructure of the web itself.
The research points specifically to 2026-era verification tools, highlighting systems like Transparency by Amazon 2.0.
Exactly.
But how is that different from the little blue check marks we're used to seeing on social media? Because we all know those can just be bought now.
Right. Anyone with a credit card can get a verification badge, which makes them practically useless for establishing actual trust.
So how are these new tools different?
It's fundamentally different because it's not just a static visual asset sitting next to a profile name. These 2026 verification tools provide a dynamic, verified human or verified brand checkmark.
That is cryptographically tied to the merchant's back-end identity, right?
Yes. To secure that checkmark, the e-commerce platform's API cross-references real-world data points in real time.
Like checking corporate banking credentials or live supply chain logistics data?
Exactly. Or it might even require biometric authentication from a registered company officer at the exact moment they list a new product.
Wow. It's the difference between someone flashing a fake ID card they printed at home versus scanning a biometric passport at the airport.
That's a perfect analogy. A cloned storefront can copy the HTML of a web page, but it can't spoof the real-time banking API.
Or the biometric data required by the platform's back-end infrastructure.
In a world where countless reviews, images, and videos can be faked in seconds, having a trusted institutional authority verify your operational identity becomes the only mathematical way to cut through the noise of the dead web.
We've covered some truly intense ground today. To summarize this journey for you, the listener, AI is getting better, faster, and much harder to spot every single day.
The era of just casually browsing and trusting your own eyes is over.
But as this deep dive proves, e-commerce brands do not have to surrender to a future of lost sales. And you, the shopper, do not have to resign yourself to a dead web entirely populated by scams and deepfakes.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is really an evolutionary bottleneck for digital commerce.
The slow-moving companies, the ones that refuse to adapt, that cling to the old ways of glossy photos and rely on reactive legal letters.
They're going to get swallowed whole by the skimming effect.
But the proactive brands, the ones that implement blockchain digital passports, lean into human-first transparency and secure cryptographic institutional verification today.
Those are the brands that will survive. They aren't just protecting their short-term revenue, they are cultivating a powerful, lasting trust with consumers that will be virtually unbreakable.
We want to thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Navigating this new digital landscape is daunting, but being armed with an understanding of exactly how these systems work is your absolute best defense.
It really is the best tool you have.
Before we go, I want to leave you with a final, lingering question to ponder as you go about your day. We've talked entirely about e-commerce today.
Right.
But if AI is advancing so fast that it is forcing us to demand cryptographic proof of origin just to buy a simple bag of snacks, how long until we start demanding verified human checkmarks for the emails we get from our colleagues?
Or the text messages we get from our family.
Exactly. Or the news articles we read every single morning. Are we rapidly approaching an era where we need a digital passport not just for what we buy, but for reality itself? Stay curious, and we'll see you next time.